Hello and welcome to another Budget and Leggit video. Now we have a 2002 Mercedes CLK 200 and we are having a few issues with the ABS and the BAS system. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in and we're going to see exactly what's going on. Now I'm going to use this as a battery PID, my Migtronics tester, because I don't think there's any, there might be, but I want to... There might be a battery PID on the scan tool, but I want to constantly monitor it because there's going to be a lot of systems going through here, and I want to make sure that the battery is good, because once you start testing systems, especially on this car, if I make the wrong call, I can essentially write the car off, because, you know, some parts can be very expensive. So we need to make sure we make the right call on this. So I'm going to constantly monitor the battery with the Migtronics DSS 5000. I'm going to use the launch diode gun for my diagnostics, but even though this is a 00 and it's kind of on the limit of being OBD2, this could have been made in 99, and you know, but basically it doesn't have OBD2 function in it. It has to use the old style connector, which in the launch bag we actually have it. Then we have the lead to use our wireless dongle, so we need to use that, and then we can actually try and diagnose this bad boy. So when I start it, you can see the ABS system, visit workshop. The ABS doesn't work, the traction control doesn't work. I think this has traction control, maybe not, but it does have traction control, and also the cruise control doesn't work, and that flashes ABS and BAS system. So let's just see if we can make it go into the BAS. It's not going to. Typical. Absolute typical. It's been flashing at me like crazy, and as soon as I turn the camera on, it's only showing ABS fault. Lovely. Right, and there we are. It's flicking between the two, which is ABS, and the BAS system, which is braking assist system. It just gives, it's an aid to the braking pedal, essentially. It's supposed to stop you a bit better. So, and they should hopefully be all tied in together. The reason why one is on is because the other one's cause and effect, like I always say. Right, so like I said, we do have to be careful because this is an older car, and you know, old systems. It's an old Mercedes, and as we know from Mercedes, an old Mercedes is one of the worst Mercedes you can get. Now, the really old ones, they're great, but like this year, no. So we have to be careful. We have to make sure we make the right call. And there's going to be loads of systems that are tied into each other. The diagnostic side of it is going to be old and kind of, you know, if you're not used to it, it's going to be very difficult to kind of go through everything, because I'm sure that it's not going to be a simple case of just going into one system and it's basically showing me all the data PIDs, showing me you know, everything in one place. I'm going to have to mostly go into a few different modules. I'm not sure how good this scan tool is on older cars, because normally older cars tend to be better with the factory scan tools, but we're going to see exactly what we can do, and we're going to fix this bad boy, get it through a test, and keep it rocking on the road. Sorted. Right, all I've done is I've just turned the car off, and as you can see, that battery doesn't look good. This car's had a really good run, so I know that's not the issue. The battery is recovering slightly now, but as soon as I turned it off, it was and just cranking that went down to 8 volts. Yeah. Right, this battery isn't any good. Just look at it. It just isn't no good. That's why I got this out, just to monitor my battery, because I have a feeling. I'm just going to plug in the scan tool and we're going to see what the battery reads. Now, for those of you interested, that's where it actually goes. Now, unfortunately, I can't put the bonnet down and like drive around with this because this is sticking up too far. That could be an issue, depending on what we have to do So we have to bear that in mind. But that's where it goes, that's the connection, and then I get to use my Bluetooth dongle. Sorted. Right, all I've done is I've just plugged my scan tool in. I've just turned on my ignition, and you can see the battery's under 12 volts already. It was 11.5 volts there a second ago. It's just recovering slightly, but it's no good. I cannot do my diagnosis on this with this particular battery unless I put a battery maintainer on or replace the battery. But we know the battery's buggered, and the customer, you know, wants to keep the car, wants to fix it. So we're going to put a battery in, and it means then I can do diagnosis on this a lot better. It means I'm going to get proper readings, and I can trust what I am essentially getting. So battery maintainer, as always, you always want to put a battery maintainer, but we just know this battery's goose. So we're going to put a new battery in, and then we're going to continue with our diagnosis and see if we can fix this bad boy. And we've got the ABS light on and the BAS light on. Them lights stay on, and the EPS light, that all stays on when we actually start this. As you can see with the new battery in, there's the old one there, the new battery in, it's not fully charged because I've had the lights and stuff on, so the voltage has gone down a little bit. But look, already we're over 12.4 volts. We're like 80 odd percent charged, or 85%, whatever it is. Anyway, so I can now stick a battery maintainer on this just to keep it up. But you can see why I've said on my other videos, it's vitally important to actually test your alternator and your battery first, because when you have any issue with your car, if you can't trust your battery, given the sensors and everything the right reading, even on this old Mercedes, there's a lot of sensors, there's a lot of modules, you know, you need to make sure that they are getting the right voltage so you can actually go with your you know, diagnosis. You're not going to basically go wrong, because this will, even a car of this age will start giving you battery warning problems and stuff like that, you know, saying your battery's not charged and stuff like that. So it will affect things. It's vitally important. You can see the battery is actually recovering a bit now. It's vitally important to check them first before you continue, because you then know what your readings are and you know they're going to be precise. So we can now get on with the actual diagnosis of this vehicle. We can see what's going on, and yeah, sorted. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a full health report on it, let it do a full scan, and then we'll come back to it and see what we've got. Right, we've done a full scan and we've got a few faults, but not too many. It is a Mercedes after all. So we'll just go to the first one. We'll just see what it says. So we've got traction system right rear wheel RPM. So in other words, ABS sensor issue. Now it could be ABS sensor, wiring, module, wheel bearing, you know, there's a few things it could be. This is the BAS system we're having the problem with as regards the light on the dash. And what's that saying? Oh, why is this not communicating? What happened? And here we go. CAN bus issues. Now, I say CAN bus issues. This could be because of an ABS sensor, so not necessarily CAN bus issues. Cause and effect from the ABS sensor, for example. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's go back out. No, just go back out, please. Trying to look through the camera and do this at the same time is difficult. Short circuit, combust to take positive to ground. Now that could be an issue there. Fault and combust with, right, we could have a few issues here now. what I want to do is I want to see that's the easiest one to go for first. So the easiest one to do is the ABS sensor before we get bogged down into CAN bus systems or anything like that. So we can check that first with a scope to see, is it actually working, is it actually communicating. As regards data, I don't know. It's not going to have it there. See, this is what I'm saying with data now. It's not going to have the data PIDs where you would naturally assume it would. I guarantee you they're not even in here. Oh. No, didn't think so. Because the BAS system is a separate system as regards to ABS. It's a help. It helps your braking system. So we go to engine and see if we can see any data PIDs for our ABS sensors. Driving. Here we go. Nope. This is why I'm saying it's an old system, so it's not necessarily where you would think they are. Vehicle speed front, vehicle speed rear. Right, so we've only got 2. Okay, let's see what we can do. The bonnet is open, so like I said, I can't like go for a huge ride. So see if we can get any movement. Aha! There we go. Okay, that's a good sign. So we have communication with our front sensor. Now, I don't know which one it is. It just says front and rear. I don't know how particularly this system works in that sense. I know it's saying we have a problem with the left rear, I believe. So what I'm going to do is now, because that's the easiest thing to do first, I'm going to check that. I'm going to check that wheel, check the ABS sensor, make sure we're getting a signal. Hopefully, if we're not getting a signal, it's an ABS sensor. If we are, that's when we're going to have... I've turned the ignition off, by the way. That's why it's not communicating. If we are, hopefully... Well, if we are, then it's looking like it could be a CAN bus issue. But what it could also be is it could also just be down to that sensor. If it's not reading it, the way the computers can work is it's not receiving the signal, so it's going to flag up like a CAN bus issue, but not necessarily a CAN bus problem. Because it can't communicate between the front and the rear, you'll see what I mean as I go into it a bit deeper. I'm not 100% sure how these old systems work. I've worked on a few of them, and I know they're not as simple as kind of the newer systems as regards the data PIDs and how you can read them and all that sort of stuff. It's completely different. Like I said, this is pre OBD2, so it's just different systems, how they work on the older cars. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do first. We're going to go to the rear sensor and we're going to see if we're getting any readings, and hopefully it's just an ABS sensor. If not, it's going to be a wiring issue, and that could be a nightmare because there's a lot of wiring on this and it could be anywhere. But it's going to be fun finding out. Sorted. Right, we're in the back of the car. I've removed the rear carpet thing and I've removed the cover from here. And now we can see our 2 ABS sensors where they actually come in. That's one, and that's our right hand side. I've just lifted up the cover so we can actually back probe these. Because first what I want to do is I want to see if we've got power, and then we can check for a signal. Now, I can see that this one has been replaced before. Now, I think the customer did tell me that. And it's an aftermarket one, which I really don't like, but we're going to test it anyway. And we're going to, like I said, first we're going to do power, and then we're going to do signal. And I'm working on the deck today because the car behind me, I haven't got parts for you, and it's stuck on the lift, which is great fun. So I know I'm going to get people, now you know how I feel. I've worked on the loft before, believe me. It's more frustrating when you got a lift behind you. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, just to make it nice, quick and easy, I'm going to pull out my Snap-on multimeter / 2-channel scope, just because it's quick, it's easy. And we're going to turn the ignition on and we're going to see if we've got power first. Sorted. Right, so my ignition is on. The beauty thing about working on ABS sensors is, you know, you've always got some more that are kind of known goods. The chances of all 4 going at once is fairly remote. So you can, if you're unsure, you've always got another one, you know, kind of close to it to actually check everything. So I back probed it. We're just looking for voltage. And there we go. We have voltage. Now the car is turned off, so don't worry about that, but that is absolutely fine. We'll turn the car on, we'll watch the voltage to go up. But I'm using the sensor as a load. This is important. So with this test, very easy, once we start it up, we can actually see if the voltage, you know, is good. We know that our circuit is okay. And if you think about it logically, our computer has told us there is an issue with this wheel sensor somewhere. You know, it's not getting a signal. Now that can still mean, you know, problem with the sensor, problem with the pickup, problem with the wiring. But as long as our computer has told us that, it means we can communicate with the computer, and it means it's told us that. So that, not 100%, but that kind of tells us, okay, right, our computer's okay. And there must be some sort of an extent to our wiring is okay, because the computer has told us that. Now, still be careful with that, but, you know, you can kind of eliminate things, you know, when you think about it logically, you can kind of eliminate things kind of easily and quickly. Right, as you can see, our voltage has gone up, which is good because we've turned on our car. And I guarantee if I disconnect that sensor and actually probe the wires, not the sensor wires, but the wires going into that little block, I guarantee the voltage will go up. That will also tell us that we're loading our circuit and our circuit is okay. Now again, all depends on your car. This is an old Mercedes at the end of the day, so this is what we can do with this particular one. So let me disconnect that and see exactly what happens with the voltage. And as you can see, the voltage has gone up again. So we know that our circuit is okay. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to check our signal. I'm going to do the same with this side, just so everyone knows that, you know, if it's good or bad. And again, that's why I'm saying the beauty thing about ABS sensors, you can actually do this. So let me just do the other side and we'll see what readings we get. Right, I'm just back probing this, so I'm using slightly different connections rather than them that might not have been on that, you know, as good as these. But as you can see, the voltage is practically the same. We had 11.97 or something, so I mean it really is the same. Let's disconnect that and see what happens. Right, boom, there we go. That's now in, disconnected, and exactly the same. So what does that tell us? Like I said, let's think about it logically. We know from the first part of the video that we can actually see something happening with the front sensors, because as I drive forward, it clocks up the miles per hour, but it doesn't do at the back. It's also told us that there is an issue with this left-hand rear, and we've checked the powers coming into it, and we've checked it loaded and unloaded, which is, you know, important to do. So that basically tells us now, right, if you think about it, well, hold on, our module seems okay. It's not 100%, but it seems okay. There's a good chance that our wiring from here to the module, again, is good. Now, again, you can't be 100% sure, but what I'm saying is we can do these quick tests to move on to another test and then, you know, kind of see exactly what's going on. We also know there's an aftermarket sensor, which is never good. And yes, that's basically all we know at the minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put everything back and I'm going to scope to see the signal. So I'm going to put it in D. I'm going to let the wheel spin because it's off the ground, and we're going to see what signal we're getting from this side and what signal we're getting from the other side. Sorted. Right, it's important to know when you do this, you need your wheel spinning to get a signal, and as you can see, our wheel is spinning, so we're good to go. Sorted. And we are getting a lovely square wave. Now, so we know that one's good because the computer is not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that also gives us a good baseline for the other side and to see exactly what is going on, you know, with the other side. So we now know 100% that that ABS sensor, that wiring, everything on this side is good. We are looking at an issue with here. Now you do have to be careful. Like I said, we still could have an issue with the wiring from here back to the module. It's a possibility. We're getting a signal directly from the sensor itself. That doesn't mean that the actual computer is seeing that signal, so do bear that in mind. We've also, from our error codes, we know we've got a few different error codes. Now again, it could be cause and effect, an issue with this side that could wipe all them error codes, or we could have multiple problems. So you're going to have to tell the customer this. Just because you find an issue here doesn't mean that's all your problems. Now if we find an issue somewhere here, we're going to have to fix that issue first before we can continue. Well, before we can continue, because like I said, them other error codes could be cause and effect from this, or we could have more than one issue. But I'm happy with that signal, so let's scope to the side and see. Sorted. Right, so on the other side, and as you can see, the wheel is spinning, so let's see what the scope says. Boom! Scope says nothing. No signal whatsoever. Oh, get the glare off. Let me get the glare off. Oh, there we go. You can see no signal whatsoever compared to the other side. Right, so absolutely nothing coming from that sensor. Now what does that tell us? Does that tell us we've got an issue with the sensor? Well, no. Does that tell us we've got possibly an issue with the sensor? Yes. We know the wiring is good because we've kind of done the load test, so that kind of suggests, again, not 100%, but for the test we're doing quick and easy test. That's why I'm using this and not the big scope, just because this is quick, easy, bang, it's there. Setting up the big scope is, you know, just takes a lot longer, and I'm under a bit of time pressure with this, so that's why we're doing the little scope. But we could have an issue with the ABS sensor, we could have an issue with the pickup ring, we could have an issue with the wheel bearing, the air gap, you know, rush jacket. There's loads of different issues we could have, so we've now got to figure out exactly what is going on with our sensor, ABS ring, whatever the case may be. So let's find out exactly what's going on and yeah, sort it. Right, let's just get you a bit closer. We can see the ABS ring there. It is a bit fast, but I'm just having a quick look. I can't see any major thing wrong with it. It looks nice and smooth. It's not rattling side to side. It's not moving up and down. That's where it's a really good test to do with these. Let the CV joint move around and we can see it's not wobbling, we can see it's not rattling, banging. The ABS pickup ring seems to be going around, you know, quite evenly and smoothly. So we can move across to here, hopefully get you in, and we see there's the ABS sensor. Again, look at the pickup ring. It doesn't seem to be hitting the ABS sensor, it doesn't seem to be wobbling. The gap seems to kind of stay the same kind of a way, which is really good. So that gives us a good indication that we're okay. Oh, is it a bit of a wobble there? No, it's just the way the camera is. So that's good. That gives us a good indication that it's okay. So I'm going to turn the car off now and manually check that ring. Right, you can see the ring a bit better now. We can turn it by hand. Make sure it's not cracked. What I'm looking for is to make sure there's no rust underneath it. Make sure it's not bulging in one spot. We kind of know that from it spinning. That's why I said to always spin them, because you can kind of see, you know, with the engine, because you can kind of see if it's, you know, lifting up in one spot or anything like that. That all looks good. Looks nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So we can quickly check the gap now, the air gap. So let me just see if I can do this. So I've got the specs. I'm going to go in the middle of the specs. 0.8. Let's try and do this. On camera is very difficult. Perfect. There we go. That's going in. It's perfect. There's no real problems with it. It's going in nice. So our air gap is well within spec. We can spin it and check it in a few spots just to be, oh, very difficult to do this. There we go. Yeah, no problem with that. And again, absolutely no problem with the air gap. So that tells us we haven't got an issue with rust jacking. Our air gap isn't changing, which is good. So I'm going to call an ABS sensor. But like I said, we could have other issues. Now I know that actually looks like an air gap in that, but it's just a shadow of the light, so that's not a problem. You can see as I move it, look, the shadow of the light just changes. So yes, it's looking like an ABS sensor. So I'm going to price one up, a genuine one, see if we can get it, how much it is, waiting time and all that good stuff. And like I said, this still might not be the full fix, but it's definitely a problem. Sorted. Right, here we go, new sensor in. Oh, I've just got to put the bung on, and that's it. Turn off all the lights or reset all the codes on the computer, and we should be good to go. Sorted. Right, the engine's running. We still have the lights on. We still have the warning lights coming on in the middle of the dash, but it's passed the test in the sense of there's no error codes. So there's the BAS system. It's still going through, as you can see. We've got the BAS system which is passed, and there's no problems with the engine control module where the other ABS faults were. I'm going to wait for it to complete the test, but at the minute it's all saying there's no error codes, but yet the lights are still on the dash. The plot thickens with this one. Right, just finishing up the scan, and at the minute it's all saying it's okay, but yet our lights are still on. You can see our lights, if it's going to focus in on them, it's not, but anyway, our lights are still on. Come on, finish. Now, it's finished, but there's no error codes at all. BAS system. Why is it doing that? No error codes, but yet our lights are still on. Our EPS lights on as well, or our ESP lights on. So we'll go into that module. The ESP and the BAS light is the same light in one. Read. Please read. Why are you doing this? Read. I don't know why it's doing that. That doesn't make sense. Let's go into engine. What? Why aren't you going into anything? Let me rescan this and see what's going on. Right, what I did is, and I didn't film it, I took the car for a spin and I rescanned it, and all the original codes came back on after I rescanned it, after I took the car for a drive. So yeah, the joys. Took it down the road for a spin and the lights are still on, nothing has changed. And I don't know if this car, if I have to reset everything, but as we saw, it says there's no error codes. I just can't get into the module, so I'm just going to leave that for the minute. So I'll just quickly jack this up. This wheel is spinning. Put my scope on just very quickly and scope these wires and look what happens. We have nothing. But then when I go to the other wheel, let me just stop this wheel from spinning first. Now, so we've got the other wheel spinning. If I put this on, oh, we have a signal. Right, have we got a dodgy ABS sensor? Is there another issue somewhere? What I'm going to do, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to plug it into this ABS sensor. That will tell me then that the wire, even though we've checked this before, but that the wire is okay and it's able to send the signal. So let me do that next. Right, what I've done is I've taken the connection from this side and I plugged it into the sense that we know 100% is making a signal, but this is on the opposite wire. So if we do have an issue with the wire, even though I did check it in the first part of the video, but if we do have an issue with the wire or anything, this should show up. So let me just back probe this. Right, so as you can see, that where them silver connections are, that's the old plug. I'm now plugged into the left hand plug with the right hand ABS sensor, and as you can see, just like we said, that wire and everything is perfect. So this belongs to this side. So it looks like we have a brand new dodgy ABS sensor, because it ain't working, it ain't doing anything. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the one that we know is working from the opposite side to the side we're having trouble with, just to make sure it is the sensor. I've checked the ring like I did before. This is the good side, by the way. The ring is absolutely perfect, as you can see. This is the side we're having issues with, but again, the pickup ring is perfect. This is the wrong sensor, but what I want to do is, we know this sensor 100% definitely works. I'm going to attach it to this side and we're going to see if we get a signal. If we get a signal, we know 100% our new sensor is faulty. If not, it has to be an issue here somewhere, even though this looks absolutely perfect. But we know the wire is definitely okay, because we've switched the actual wires for the actual ECU over, and it's still giving us the signal. So 100% we know our wires are okay. But is it our ABS sensor, or is it something in there? Did I make the right call? Did I fuck up? Well, we'll soon find out. Right, this is not ideal because I can't put the sensor in the correct way, but it looks like hopefully it's close enough. But yeah, we're going to soon find out. I tried swapping the sensors, but the problem is, because the way the wires go, I just couldn't get it in properly close enough to actually make the test valid. So I had to stop because it just wasn't going to work, and I was going to damage the good working sensors. What I've done is I've just quickly hooked it up to my meter, and oh, it's gone. I thought I did. Right, let me hook it up to my meter again. It's just slipped. Right, it's hooked up to the meter, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub it across this magnet and see if we get any deflection in it now. Here we go. All I'm doing is that, look, and look at the waveform. There we go. We're really getting it now. If I go faster, there we go. If I go really fast, I'm shaking, but if I go really fast, you will see that the waveform actually changes. Okay, that's the old sensor. I'm going to put the new sensor on now and do the same thing. Right, I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. Rub this close to the magnet, and as you can see, absolutely, oh, my clips have come off again. Absolutely nothing is happening, and I mean nothing. Oh, my clips keep coming off because the wire is short and it's shaking the clips, but it's just not moving like the other one. The new ABS sensor is buggered. What a nightmare. Right, so we now know we have a dead ABS sensor, and the problem is it's always like, did I make the right call? Did I, you know, just brand new parts, you know, that break, it's a nightmare. You know, this is a main dealer part, so it's a genuine part, and just an absolute nightmare. But what I've done is, which I can't show you, I've done a bit of trickery, and just to see if I am definitely 100% right, which I know I am, but it's always the doubt in your mind. And if I'm wrong, I'm paying for the sensor, I'm paying for all the work. That's just how it is. I own it, essentially, if I'm wrong. So we'll start the car. We are going to put it in D. We are going to drive forward, and we are going to see what happens. Hold on, let me get a bit faster maybe. Boom! Boom! There we go. Sorted. Let's turn it off just to make 100% sure it's okay. There is other issues with this car, but I'm not worried about that. All I'm worried about is once I restart it. Oh yes! Would you look at that? How nice does that look? No lights. Let's just definitely check that the ABS will work. So I'm just reversing back now. I'm in my yard, so it's not a big deal. Oh yes, that even works. The EPS light, if I press the EPS light, there we go. Traction control off. Press it again. Traction control on. Traction control off. Traction control on. That's a good sign. So that is a really good sign. Let me just go forward and slam on the brakes. Do we have ABS? Oh yes. Well, I knew we did anyway, but there we go. Sorted. I made the right call. Lucky enough, other few people have been at this. The guy did tell me it's had a brand new ABS sensor, and I'm wondering if they maybe got a dodgy ABS sensor like me. Yeah, so there we go. Brand new parts come wrong, but we have fixed it. That's all that matters. Sorted. So look, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here, links down below, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted. Right, as it turns out, what's happened is it's been to a few garages, and I think the original or the customer that had it before maybe did a bit of work on himself, and it's looking like they've put aftermarket ABS sensors. These particular cars do not like aftermarket ABS sensors. They just don't work properly. I got a brand new genuine sensor, and you can still see even a genuine sensor just the way it is. So don't put aftermarket sensors on these. Pay the extra money, put a proper sensor on. Even a second-hand one, proper second-hand one, is better than a spurious new one. So that's what the problem was, and that's why a few people are getting stumped about it, because they was putting a new sensor on, and of course the car was doing the same thing because it's an aftermarket sensor. That's why it's been to a few garages, and we fixed it. Sorted.